Mr Mollison says the majority of people who visit the gallery haven't experienced European art before, and he sees their education as one of the gallery's main purposes.
It's very interesting to us. This year we will have about 1 million visitors through the building, and of those visitors, as you would guess, the greater number of them are Australians, and we find that about 80% of those people who come to us have never been into an art gallery before.
What will be the gallery's next major purchase?
We're waiting until budget night to find out what our acquisitions budget will be for this coming year. And you're not in a very strong position when you negotiate for something when you don't know how much you could possibly afford to pay for it.
Good morning. Well, we're heading towards Lake City this morning. Tiny waves, very light winds at the moment. Not much of a day for the board riders at all. The waves are tiny this morning, under 1 metre at all of the open beaches, and whatever there is of the swell is coming in from the northeast. I'm afraid the situation doesn't look like improving for the board riders at all. The waves will possibly be a little bit more consistent around low tide later this morning. For the swimmers, if you'd like to go swimming, all of our city beaches are quite safe, and the pollution problem should be non-existent here at Merewether and should be south of Burwood Beach. The magnificent weather that we've been enjoying over the last few days has been much too good to last. It's now starting to become quite overcast, and the forecast reads early morning fogs, a cool day with cloud thickening and rain developing. Northwest to northeasterly winds freshening to 20 to 40 kilometres per hour and seas slight to moderate on a low swell. Newcastle expecting a top today of 17 degrees, 16 degrees for Scone, low tide coming up at 9 minutes past 9 this morning, 0.6 of a metre, and high tide at 8 minutes to 4 this afternoon, 1.5 metres. And the outlook for Thursday, showers with cool and gusty southerly winds. So it does look like there's a change on the way, and those northwesterly winds today will be freshening ahead of that change. Showers heading our way tomorrow. You better enjoy whatever there is of today. We'll be back again tomorrow morning.
Despite the constant rain, the course looked a picture as many a familiar face drove, pitched and putted on a track that 7 years ago was no more than a 9-hole bunker. Today, with many a willing hand, both members and associates, hand-planting the fairways, the Tea Gardens Hawks Nest Golf Club has turned the tide on those humble beginnings to boast of a beautiful course. And as the president of the club, Clyde Hurl, explains, they have come a long way.
Unreal, actually. It's in the last 5 years we've got completely grass on the course. Tony Mangrum and Freddie Baldwin knows because they actually played the first professional match play here, and when you talk to them, if you talk to them later, you'll find that it was a sandpit compared to what it is today. But then again, you win some, you lose some with the weather.
And obviously you've got plans for further extensions to the club.
Yes, we hope to have 18 hole in due course. The greens are second to none in Newcastle, and also I think the way the club is going, it's just the members have supported it fantastically.
Two players that participated in those early days, as Clyde recalls, were the quick swinging lovable pro of Australian golf Ted Ball from Western Australia and local professional at the Steelworks Club Tony Mangan. And as both mentioned, it's tremendous to see the development in the game of golf at Hawks Nest.
Just stop it a minute.
Good morning. A beautiful sunny start to the day. Skies are clear, winds are blowing offshore from the west. The waves are very small, but there is a change on the way. Waves are very small, around half a metre at all of the open beaches this morning. The swell direction is changing. It's now starting to come in more from the east and eventually around to the south. The waves look like building over the next 2 days or so as those winds turn around to the south. And they should turn more to the southwest and possibly even to the south by late this afternoon. For the board riders, I'm afraid it's not much of a day, and the next 2 days or so don't hold much prospect. If you'd like to go for a swim this morning, it's quite nippy, but all beaches are quite safe. The forecast from the Bureau this morning speaks of cool conditions with southwest to southerly winds at 20 to 40 kilometres per hour, mostly sunny with seas slight to choppy on a mainly low swell. Newcastle expecting a maximum today of 17 degrees, 16 degrees for Scone. Low tide will be at 9 minutes past 10 this morning, 0.6 of a metre. High tide at 2 minutes to 5 this afternoon, 1.5 metres. And the outlook for tomorrow, cool to mild with southwest to southerly winds. And that's the story for this morning. Tiny waves, the possibility of the swell building from the south over the next 2 days or so, and that will increase the pollution problem down at Merewether. For the moment though, it's nice and sunny, winds are blowing offshore from the west, and there's a change on the way, a top of 17 degrees for Newcastle. Have a great day whatever you're doing. We'll be back again tomorrow morning.
The payroll was being kept overnight in one of 3 safes in the station's ticket office in Scott Street. Police say thieves forced open this door into the office, held closed by 3 light locks. The thieves used oxyacetylene equipment to open the safe containing the money. The cash was packed into 2 boxes, making it easy to be carried away. The payroll was for employees at the Cardiff workshops and the Broadmeadow goods yards, as well as station employees throughout the district. Station Master Jack Wade says there were about 7 people working at the station at the time of the robbery.
An officer inside in my office and also 2 station assistants on the platform, 4 or 5 guards signing on at various times.
And they heard nothing?
No sign at all, no noise whatsoever.
The alarm went off about 4:30. For some reason, police and security services were directed here to Bond Street, to the old paymaster's office. Meanwhile, all the action was happening round the corner in the ticket office in Scott Street. Railway detectives say it took about 15 minutes to complete the job, but by the time the mistake was discovered, the thieves had flown the coop. I was told today that similar amounts of money have been held in the safe each fortnight for some time. A review of security practices in Newcastle is being made by railway detectives. The State Rail Authority today made emergency pay arrangements for its 1,000 Newcastle employees, but declined to comment further on...
The facility is a public facility. Most of the departments do have very heavy contact with the public. Therefore, it's important that it's close to transport, that's accessible by many members of the public.
The $10 million development has been brought forward by the Commonwealth to help stimulate the building industry. At the moment, Commonwealth offices are scattered around Newcastle, in Customs House, Pacific Street, and the head office in 526 High Street West. All of these facilities are severely overcrowded. At this stage, it's not known where the new Commonwealth Office block will be built, but Mr Morris believes
central location would be suitable.
I think it's important that the facility is a public facility. Most of the departments do have very heavy contact with the public. Therefore, it's important that it's close to transport, that's accessible by many members of the public. One of our current difficulties is our offices are scattered in many locations, and some of them are upstairs and out of the way. And part of the intention was to improve the level of services.
The announcement was also welcomed by the building industry and building workers.
The situation in the building industry in Newcastle has never been worse. It's been bad during previous recessions, but of course recently there's been an influx of workers from overseas as well as interstate because of the building boom. So that now that all of the major jobs that are winding up, as you can see this one here is, obviously it's urgently needed.
we hope it will build the highlight that the Tour de France has in the continent overseas, and of course it gives our cyclists here in Australia a big chance to compete against the international field.
Yes, well, it will give our cyclists good experience because you have attracted some of the best in the world. Who are we looking at?
Yeah, well, we're looking at the Olympic teams from England, USA, France, Italy, Hong Kong and New Zealand who will be competing out here, and all those riders who are representing their country in the Tour this year, the Commonwealth Bank Cycle Classic, will be representing their country at Los Angeles in 1984.
Thanks, John. Good morning. Quite cool out here at the moment. It's overcast. Looks like we're in for a few showers. The wind's blowing from the south and the surf doesn't look very good either. The swell's quite small, coming in from the southeast, and we have waves around 1 metre still at all of the open beaches. It's been that way for the last 4 or 5 days. It really doesn't look like increasing all that much. We may possibly see waves around 1.2 metres by the weekend. If you'd like to go for a swim today, most of our city beaches are reasonably safe, although we do have a pollution problem starting to develop at Merewether Beach. The forecast issued by the Bureau of Meteorology for today: a cold morning with fog patches inland, a cool, mostly cloudy day with scattered showers, chiefly in the lower Hunter. Southwest to southeasterly winds at 10 to 30 kilometres per hour and slight seas on a low swell. Newcastle expecting a maximum today of 18 degrees, 17 degrees for Scone. Low tide coming up at 9 minutes past 11 this morning, 0.6 of a metre. High tide at 5:52 this afternoon, 1.5 metres. And the outlook for Saturday, still more showers with south to southeasterly winds. Well, that's the picture for this morning. Small waves, choppy conditions, southerly winds, and not much chance of improvement for the moment. Possibly some waves for the weekend. It won't be tomorrow, more than likely Sunday. A top of 18 degrees for Newcastle today, and still scattered showers around. Take it easy on the roads, have a great day whatever you're doing, and a pleasant weekend. Back again Monday morning.
The meeting was called to resolve once and for all the direction to be taken on the development of the
been
warrant.
nominated for the 21 positions. 2 candidates are contesting the position of Lord Mayor. They are Alderman Joy Cummings and Alderman Don Geddes, and they'll appear in that order on the ballot paper. In the Lake Macquarie Municipal Council election, 27 would-be aldermen have been nominated for the 16 positions, and 3 candidates will be competing for the position of Mayor. They are Alderman Ron Fennell, Alderman John Kilpatrick and Alderman Jeff Pasterfield. Remember, it's compulsory to vote in local government elections, and you could be fined up to $10 if you don't. Party grouping positions on the ballot papers will be drawn on Monday in both the Newcastle and Lake Macquarie areas.
In Brussels, a 23-year-old nurse who had been taking fertility drugs has given birth to 6 children, 5 boys and a girl. All are in excellent condition, but it will be up to 3 months before they'll be allowed home. In Neptune, New Jersey, a couple about to become parents for the first time were expecting quadruplets, but 1 extra baby arrived. The 3 boys and 2 girls are given an excellent chance of survival. What sailor has not seen himself as the skipper of a highly tuned 12-metre racing machine competing for the America's Cup? Well, now you can captain a 12-metre yacht, albeit a 1/5 scale model, for a mere $3,000. It's called the Illusion 12, and it's been selling like crazy in Newport. Buyers are having their new craft decked out in the colours and rig of their favourite 12 metres, such as Australia 2, Victory 83 and Freedom. Sales have been so brisk that there is now talk of holding a mini America's Cup.
In swamping the Canberra Arrows today, KB scored their biggest win of the season in the National Soccer League. Newcastle's first goal came in the 34th minute. Just 7 minutes later, KB scored their second goal, and it was 2-0, the half-time score. Home side went on to make 3 more goals in the second half. Newcastle's 5 goals were scored by striker Bob Mountford and captain Craig Mason, 2 each, and Davy Jones 1. The win keeps KB in third position and will be hoping both Preston and Sydney City lose tomorrow.
Well, already we've had the announcement for Newcastle, the new Commonwealth Office, almost $10 million. We've had the announcement of the steel industry plan last Monday, and that's of major importance to Newcastle and the BHP's future in this region. We've had the housing industry package, which is going to have a major impact upon the housing industry in our region. I'd like to see an increase in assistance to those people who are in need, who can't get jobs. We'll have a benefit that will be coming through from the Community Employment Program, that's getting underway, the Jobs on Local Roads program. And if there is to be a burden to be shared, I would want to see that shared in the way that it was subscribed to by the Premiers and the Prime Minister at the recent Premiers' Conference. So if it means some of us, those on higher incomes, paying a little bit more to help turn the economy around, to help create more jobs for those people who can't get jobs, then that's the way I'd like to see it go.
The quality of healthcare that the general public receives depends in part on the method by which our future doctors are trained. Since the early 1950s, doctors and academics have developed new philosophies for educating medical students. Issues surrounding medical education are the subject of the annual conference of the Australasian and New Zealand Association for Medical Education, or ANZAMI. The conference began today at the David Madison Building in Newcastle and will continue for the next 2 days. Amongst the 100 attending are some world authorities in the field.
We have our key speaker, who is Dr. George Miller, who could be described without any risk of contradiction as being the father of modern medical education. And one of his co-workers from the early days in the United States, Professor Stephen Abramson, who coincidentally happens to be at Newcastle as a senior Fulbright scholar.
And what's its significance to Newcastle in particular?
Well, it's particularly important in this town because Newcastle has a medical school, which you know about, of course, which is an experiment in medical education of genuine world significance. It's a school which is attempting to teach medicine in a different way, a way which the whole world is currently observing and waiting for certain outcomes.
The main idea is that we do develop a sports atmosphere amongst all the different colleges and across the states, also to get some idea of the standard of play and that one state's not dropping behind or dropping out of competition with the others.
Police haven't said how much money was demanded. They have said, though, they won't pay it. The demand was made on a cassette tape recording which was sent to the Office of Railways Commissioner Doug Mendoza yesterday afternoon. The male voice on the tape has a distinct Irish accent, although police don't know yet whether it's genuine. Brisbane CIB Chief Superintendent Ben Robertson released extracts of the tape to the media.
My name is Joseph McElroy. The numbers of the notes are not to run consecutively. That the transfer goes without problems and the courier reports the cash is clean.
On the other side of the tape, police found this voice.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Police don't know yet whether that voice is the same as the one that made the threats. The man threatened to place an accessory on a rail line in the state, and although he doesn't mention explosives, police assume that's what he means. Police have stressed that all rail lines in the state will have been checked by now, and they've assured train travellers that they are safe. Superintendent Robertson says this extortion attempt is different from an attempt made against TAA because in this case no token damage has been caused to rail lines.